turn off the...
Turn on the phone. Were we supposed to? The phone.
Yeah, it's off.
Okay. Hello, everyone. First, I'd like to thank everyone for coming from ADAlilar magazine, especially our guest, Faig Ahmed. My name is Deniz Sultan, and I'm the External Affairs Officer in ADAlilar Journal. And some of you may ask, what is the ADAlilar Journal, to be exact? Well, it is a journal founded in 2019 in ADE school. But honestly speaking, it's more than just a journal. Well, since 2019, we've hosted numerous events both in and out of ADE school, and we've also published 4 issues of our magazine. This is the latest issue of our magazine. I'd like to present it to you as a small gift.
Oh, thank you.
And seeing the quality of it and knowing that it was fully prepared by students of ADE school, it really makes me proud.
Thick.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
I'd like my fellow interviewer to start.
Hi, my name is Leyla Zinalı, and without any ado, I would like to ask you the first question. So, can you tell us about yourself?
Yeah. First of all, thank you for inviting. It's great to be here. I'm not here first time, but in the school first time. But in general, not in the ADA. So it's always nice to have a contact, talk, and share. So I'm just a little bit coming to the question by this because my work is artist, so art is sharing. So let's start with this, and yeah. So this is like, to be an artist is not only discipline, certain work, but it's also style of life. It's lifestyle. It's way to live, way to think, and yeah. So if I'll tell shortly. Okay. So if we will go deeper, so yeah. So because there are a lot of things that we can talk.
Okay, now let's get into your style. And to be exact, how did you discover your style, your signature style?
Well, this is also another artwork artist's work that that makes you analyze things around. So analyze society, analyze object of society, as in like everyone saw my work? Or everyone saw my work? Yeah, everyone saw. No. So that's why. So if you saw that, so you understand that of course that it comes from culture. It's cultural object first of all, historical object. It's important object of our culture first of all, and in general other cultures too, who has similar values, similar traditions, similar visual culture also. So. So I'm coming back to the question that so the work of art is analyze all these things that I'm talking about, like culture, our society, interconnection between images and social behavior, for example. So that was like it wasn't if you wait for like that I dreamed and just wake up in the night and got this idea. Yes, there are a lot of like this kind of artistic idea that you can get in the inspire from something, get in the moment. But in general is analyzing work. So it took I mean, for this style or this media, which is right to say, it took like several years to come to this. Like it wasn't only my analyze, it also was analyzing of our generation of artists who, for example, we put the question of what is Azerbaijani contemporary art. Like we understand what is what is traditional art. So that's another thing, because tradition is something up here. So it's in the museums. It's in our life everyday's life. But when contemporary art is something that makes us look beyond to the future, So this is what I'm doing actually. It's putting new questions. So that's why like I come to this this idea in this way. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. But how about your ideas? How do you come up to them? Come up with them, and after coming up with them, how do you make them real?
Well, this is a more important question: how to make them real, because we all have ideas. That's the thing, actually. That's the one of the moment of art. This is a very good question. That we all can have ideas, and it's not only about art, of course, but directly related with art. This idea that thoughts, or not only emotions, because emotions are also part of thoughts. Like because when we're thinking about something, we're feeling, or we can think, not feel, for example. But in general, our thoughts, like the question how to make real our thoughts, and especially if it's artistic ideas, because artistic ideas is mostly abstract, or like I will say like multi-related things. Like it's related with many things. It can be described by words, for example. Like I can describe my works by words, but also sometimes it's images enough. Sometimes both have to be there, so it's always like a lot of connections. So, wow, I think we go away from the question. What was the question?
How do you create?
Yes. Oh, how do you? Well, it's also this is even like so. Again, like thinking is nice. It's fun. Everyone like to think, and especially fun things. It's like art. But to create art, like when you're creating by your hands, it's another thing. So the thing is like because it's carpet, and I'm not doing it myself. So it's carpet makers, who traditionally learn from their mothers, grandmothers how to make carpets. So I'm working with this, like we can call it community, and because it's mostly women, it's a women community who doing these works. So it's another interesting moment that very traditional community, as we understand actually, how it looks in real, related with a global system like contemporary art. So it's like art, like this kind of what I'm doing is connecting this local with the global. So and here, so actually how we used to understand global and local is. So like everything that comes from global is something that we're accepting. Like we are part of the global world, of course. And actually, mostly local things needs for local. So this is how actually mostly how it works. But in this case, like it's something happens when we as a local knowledge, we can bring our local cultural knowledge to the global language. So. If it's too complicated, sorry, but I think it's we all understand what I'm talking about. Yeah. I mean it's abstract, yeah, but it's philosophical.
I'm also interested. How much time does it take for you to make these carpets? Because they look so intricate.
Well, yeah. So and I will continue from the question previous question that yes, exactly how long it takes. So the thing is, like when I started, like it been failed. Like my first tries was failed because first of all, like I tried to find actually the carpet makers, like, and if you saw my work, so you understand what they thought when they saw the works, the sketches, because that was something like, many thought maybe it's not respected. Many thought it's something like I'm teasing or something like this. It's not like nice to do something like that, of course, because it's our cultural value. And that was actually my case, my thing, like my case, and I mean my idea to make a little bit think about what was it like, to understand what is it value or not. So it should be like touched. It should be a little bit from my view, not spoiled but transformed, right? So, and then we're understanding is it value or not. So yes, that was hard. First of all, to communicate with community. First of all, I bring this, like again, as I said, like global questions, global interesting like ideas to the local community and make them connected with each other. And also physically, because like first things was failed, and I lost, and because it's carpet is money, so I lost a lot of money. And one of my best friend, he even helped me, and I also failed this time too. So it starts with the fails, which is okay when you're doing any work actually, and especially if you have target to make a bigger work, bigger things, right? So you have to be you have to be prepared for fail. Because as you fail, it means like the next time you will be better, next time you will be better, and you will go through it, and you will be ready to get it in the future too. So yeah, it wasn't hard. It wasn't cheap also, so it's took. But after like year or two, I start to make first kind of tries become real. And there was one gallery. It's a gallery in Moscow. It was a gallery in Moscow, ADAlilar gallery, which is I'm sure that you have to know. ADAlilar is Tahir Salakhov's daughter, and she's also an artist, and she's also gallery owner. So contemporary art gallery actually. So so actually. It's also there was another fail that it wasn't sold, for example, because it should be sold to make another tries and etc. So, but at the end, everything, if you're going through it, everything is working. So I went through it. Yeah.
And now you even have your own studio. And I would want to ask if anyone helped you in creating this studio, or it was more of a lonely journey.
Well, it's always both, actually. I think it's always both. It's a lot of people help me. A lot of people help me, and they're special people. And two of them, for example, here, and for longer path of this of this creation, hidden part of my team was here. What was with me, which is very important, of course, because. Again, if you're thinking, and especially in art, because art needs big ideas, so that if you're doing something big, you have to be prepared to share, to be with other people together, to be ready to work with a community, with a team, with people around, because there are a lot of smart people around us, genius, etc. But the thing is, even they, I'm sure, like if you dig their stories, histories, and stories. We'll find that a lot of people will help them or support them, and of course I'm getting this support too. And there will be people who will be against you. So that's important. So that's why it's important to have good people around you, because world actually in this kind of things, the world is against you. Like whatever you want to bring to world, you have to fight with world, and then you're bringing, and then it's accepted. It's becoming accepted. Yeah.
So you're telling about your challenges, but what about burnouts, creative burnouts? Have you ever experienced them?
Yes, that's normal also, and especially when it should be also learned. So I learned to control kind of creative energy, because if you're creating all the time, of course, it doesn't matter. Like it's art, it's music, it's even writing, for example, because it's also create whatever we create and. Creating as a physical part of the physical world. So yes, I felt it not once even, like there was longer one, there was shorter one, but it happens, and I think it's to prevent it. If I can give I'll forget this word. Give a Soviet advice. Yes. So if I can give advice, so it's better if you are too creative. Like first you have to make your creativity drive. So you have to create more and get further and wider and try to find some new languages, new ideas. In writing, in creating, in painting, in sculpture, whatever. Again, like if you are a film director, for example, or photo, etc. But as you're going bigger, so you're kind of a little bit losing control. So in this moment, you have to a little bit find peace, not create anything. So make some kind of diet, like information diet. So I'm sure it's when we're without phone, for example. smartphones. If you experience something like that, so it's something when we need information, we want to process, we want to analyze, and our brain kind of like not triggering, but like making us to absorb information around and analyze it. So, but when we're giving kind of some relaxation, it's almost not almost, but it can be also meditation, for example, which also making you all your knowledge and all your ability kind of more healthy inside. It means it's all like all your part inside, like because we'll have a consciousness, right? The psychic space. So it makes us more kind of work more in harmony inside of ourselves. So we becoming more updated. So it's kind of updation, right? To say it in this way. Of our conscious and psychological. It's called cognitive functions. So like how we're thinking, how we remember, how we're creating, and how we're doing other things. Yeah.
To further the discussion, in several interviews of yours, you've mentioned your interest in the past, and I wanted to ask how exactly it has influenced your work, because we're in the present after all.
Well, how we are in the present. Like that question starts from present actually, and what brings me here. Like first of all, it's our own story. Like everyone has their own stories. Then we have to understand like what is the story of our culture, our nation, for example, our country, and then when we want to understand more, like what is the history of humanity, for example, right? So then even getting more like what was the humanity as a species, for example, like because we like evolution. I'm talking about the evolution of history, for example. So when I'm talking about past, I'm talking about in general, like from like starting from first cell. I'm sure you know. This story, if it's right, it's an evolutionary story. So it's starting from first cell till us, because that's I think that's important to understand like as a whole story, not only human story, not only like a local story, but as a one bigger story of humanity and life in general, because we are very like each other, like with the plants, even with the bacterias, with the other animals, of course, like that, more looking like us. Like apes, like different type of monkeys, etc. Yeah. So that's the past actually. But yeah, if I can talk, of course, like more details. I'm sorry I stopped you. So if I can tell more in details, that the past also was interesting to me, like as a spiritual story, like spiritual, because this is something also basic of today's thoughts, today's thinking. Even like how we communicating today is something that's been created in the past, and now we're just using it. So to understand it more, of course, I was interested in that. Yeah.
What are some cultural influences that find their way in your work?
Cultural influence. It's very good question. Also. I think the different cultures until like, because I like to travel and I like to travel far and deep. For example, I've been in Amazon, in from Peruvian parts, because Amazon is shared by Amazonian forest. I'm talking about. It's shared by different countries. So I've been in Peru. I've been in different part of Peru, but that was most interesting because that was farthest and strangest place where I've been. So that's culture, for example, because that was a culture of very simple life. It was a tribe who they don't have any objects almost. I don't know if you ever seen Brazilian or again Amazonian tribes living in Amazon. So how are they looking? So they were simple, if I can say. It's like softly. But it was interesting to connect with the people who living very simple culture, like because they also have a culture, but it's very simple, like much simpler, of course, than our culture. But to find this kind of similarity, but even if this culture is not, let's say, rich like like in my case, my culture. But still, you can find some interesting things there. Like, for example, like way of drawing. So I was interested in a pattern that I researched during this travel and spending time with these tribes. If you're interesting, I can tell about the story a little bit wider because I have some materials, video materials, etc. So it's another story. But it's also interesting that it's even like that. This kind of culture is also influenced to me. But I can say it's maybe it's two main culture. It's culture which is Azerbaijan was one of the center of this culture. It's Sufi culture. I don't know how you familiar and know about this philosophical. It's actually like we can call it philosophical schools. Philosophical and practitional when you're practicing your philosophy. It was one of the biggest it's global cultural kind of layer that I was interested and also because it's also related with our own culture, like Nassimi. I don't know, again, I'm sure you have to know it. Yeah, Imamuddin Nassimi was a great poet and also philosopher, and also who talk about very like a deep philosophical question of our everyday life. For example, because of the school calls Hurufiya, which mean like word knowledge, like or like worders. Like if we will try to translate it in English, so it's worder, right? Like herifçiler, if we'll say in Azerbaijan, it's more simpler, easier. So the idea was like everything is what we see around is language, and it can be read. We can read it. It can be transformed because we can transform language, and we can look. So that was another interesting philosophical idea, that we can look to the world without this language, and then we can see like reality as it is, because actual language making it, which is actually today's. Actually, it comes to the previous question, that how past is important also, because that idea that kind of been approved, like not approved, but kind of discussed in academic, psychological academic level by, for example, Kurt Levy, one of the psychologists, for example, one of the famous psychologists. Another is another. I'm sure you also have to heard, is Noam Chomsky, which is also great writer and philosopher and researcher. That talking about that how language is important to understand world, because so he bringing in other cases when someone he can speak or can hear, but still like understanding world in a certain way, and etc. etc. So yeah, that was one of the, I think, important cultural influence, but not only for art. Art is kind of result of this influence, in general influence, but in general to my life too. I think that's also important to, as a human being, to understand this kind of interesting question. Yeah.
And how do you navigate this intersection of your culture that has definitely influenced you a lot, as you've mentioned, and surrealism that is present in your works?
Well, I can say our culture is surrealistic. Look at the carpet. This is very abstract and surrealistic because it's partly made by pattern, partly by realistic objects like nature, like I don't know, flowers, etc. But still, like it can be also looks abstract. So that's why I think it's. But in general, like the Sufism that I'm talking about, it's also itself. It's already surrealistic view to the world. So maybe it's not an art, like it's not a visually understand it, but philosophically you can kind of apply it to art, for example, or you can apply it to the poetry or other or even science, like language science. Yeah.
Can you tell about your style and how it has evolved over time?
Well, it's good. Also, interesting question. So it's involving, of course, like everything. But there can be, for example, like I understood that I involve in different mechanism of involving. in which actually I'm interested in also in mechanism in general, how the mechanism of art, like how art is working as our personal kind of issue, like how art working through me, like how it's changing me, how it's making me. Or it's something separate, or it's just my work. So that was one of the reasons, and also how art in general related with society, and especially viewer who related with art. And my style, like, it's not only a question of style, but also the conception, the idea how art is evolving, because it's not only visual changing, it's not only visual changing of style, but also the idea behind it. And idea is actually evolving faster. Like it's because it's like you just sitting and thinking, and you just can get some interesting idea already. So that's why like art object is more. So it should be. So it's not actual, right? So actually, there's I will just mention something like that there exists, for example, thing like actual art, like art that you can just right now to show to the viewer, for example, because when we're talking about art, we're talking about some times when art is working on it and then showing, and maybe it's not actual for today, for example. It's not actual like I'm talking about like as a social question. But in involving is, in this case, I felt, and I mean I can explain it like I'm involved in researches, maybe not in style, like, because style, again, visual style can change sometimes, like, but I think it's just becoming just nicer, more not the case that it's nicer like design, like I'm a little bit taking giving attention more to the details, to the sizes, to some small details like this. But in general, I think I can tell like about ideas, conception that behind of this art. Not only this, because I'm also doing other art, like media art too. Like I'm working with performing. I'm doing also performing art, not myself, but it's group of people actually. Sometimes it's very big group of people, like 300 people together. Sometimes a little bit less, like 100 or 50, that acting together, and something happens there. So I can tell maybe later about this work.
Yeah, and well, as you said, do you actively try to like push those boundaries of your art and experimenting with such new, completely different ideas?
Well, that's the thing. That's the question of art. Like you have to take opposites and try to bring them together, but because they are not only two opposites, so there are a lot of opposition in the world. So that's why it's you bringing together, looking together, and analyzing how maybe things like separated in the real world can come together in art.
Yeah, by what you said, I can tell that you have experienced a lot of things in this art. But what's the project that stands out of them all? What's kind of like memory out of them all?
Well, I'm trying to not keep a memories, let's say, I would say, right? So I'm looking to the now. Now is more interesting because everything happens now. So that's why I even don't try. I'm consciously trying to not love any of my work, for example, and especially keep it in the memory, because it's making me and my thoughts more heavy. So I can. It's making me heavy, right? So you understand what I'm saying. So when there's no memory, when there's nothing that I related with inside, of course, it's makes me light, and I can think wider and fly higher in thoughts, of course. So that's why it's. I think I don't have any work in memory. If there even I have, so I will find it inside and I will destroy it. So I don't have any any memories.
About the external reception of your work, how do you hope people interpret or interact with your work?
Well, if we're talking about carpets, for example, because carpet is very interactive work, actually, so you want to touch it. So mostly people want to touch it, and it's many times in the museums there was a during exhibitions. Sometimes some people comes to me and says, "Oh, can I touch it?" Well, of course, you have to touch it. When there was conflict with the museum staff, because you can't touch artwork. So if everyone touch, so you don't, you can. It's hard to keep. Like it's hard to keep it like. But I'm always like kind of trying to make people be more interactive with that, because it's also important to use all our senses, not only look or listen, but also in other senses too, and especially touch. What was the another question?
How do people interpret your work?
Oh, yeah. This is also a nice question, because there are like two ways. So you can make work to be ready to make it like to make people interpret it. So you already like you can already think that I want people interpreted in this way. So you can already plan inside of your work. So or instead like another way like I don't care like how people will interpret it. So I have a central idea like the idea how to interpret it. They have to ask me. So I think both of them is not right way. So there should be something in the middle in this case, and I'm trying to keep this middle. When something is familiar there, that people already interpreted it without me, like without any of our, for example, points, like views or points. But another part is abstract, so you can actually see in the work. So it has a both part, like that. It's made from two kind. It's one object, but made not made. I don't know how to say it right now. So so it has a two way to look at it or to interpret it. So one is abstract part, so we can see from one part of the work. So another is familiar, which is carpet itself, because carpet is something we understand. Not only we actually, we like all world understand what carpet is, because it's something like super old object, maybe one of the oldest objects that we're still using hands to make it. Of course, there's ceramic, for example, too. You can tell, but still, like for ceramic, we using even new technologies. When for carpet, no, not. So we doing carpet still like how it's been made 2,500 years old, 5 years ago. So I'm telling that because the oldest pile carpet, like our Azerbaijani carpet, been found in Altai, so dated to 2,500 years old. Yeah.
Okay, I can tell that your way to success is a very great way. But what about our students? What will you advise them in their way to success?
It's very hard to tell like any advices, because I don't want to share or something like or nothing to share, but because it's I think only one advice to get can be here, and of course you will understand it. It's to be yourself, to be your own person, to maximize your own identity, like who I am, what I want, where I'm going, what I want, like what comes from my. Because as we asking ourselves what I want, as less we can listen people around. But it doesn't mean that we don't have to listen. We don't have to follow, at least immediately, to whatever we listen. Of course, we have to listen. We have to carefully listen to everyone, even everyone. Because, for example, like in my career, in my art, so I'm one of the actually, sorry, one of the. If you maybe asking about success, I will tell that I learned to listen people, and even if someone like, for example, don't understand anything in art, but still their point is interesting to me. Till like some super professional specialist and someone who is in art world for a longer time. So all points is important in this case, for example. Also, another thing is whatever we're doing, if we want to get success, as I mentioned again before, that we have to learn to share with other people. with knowledge, not only with the material things, but with knowledge, with a support as a friend, as a just human being, because we need support to each other. We are social animals. We have to all the time kind of don't remember about it, but still, like at the same time, don't forget about yourself, your personality, because still, like we are social, but we have very unique. We are all unique. So everyone here unique. It means that we all can tell unique ideas. We can create unique thoughts. But the thing is, like society trying to make us, general humanity society, I mean, make us more similar like each other. So, so that's why we're thinking. Most of the people thinking similar or same. But as we're becoming more individual, but at the same time we respect society and social rules. So we're kind of finding this balance, and this balance, I think, is success already for person itself. But then from this point you can go whatever you want, and everything will be success in science, in art, in other paths that anyone can choose. Yeah.
And when you listen to the society, I'm pretty sure in the beginning there was a lot of negativity, especially when you take something that's such a big part of our culture, like a carpet, and experiment with it. Some people may not take it lightly. How did you deal with the negativity?
Well, I fight. No, I'm joking. I might as well start with no. Well, this is actually it's important to have a criticism. It's even, I will tell, like it's good to have it, because if everyone like it, or like if everyone telling you that they like it, or they hiding something from you, because it's not possible that everyone will like this one thing, right? So we are all different. So of course there's someone, like I will tell, I like this, someone liked another thing. So that's why it's normal. That's why I wait for this. I wait for this consciously, that I knew that there will be some negativity, some negative kind of, not negative, but criticism, which someone who in some certain way don't like what I'm doing. Of course, it's emotionally sometimes is hard, and especially if there's something not related to what they say. If it's like constructive, as they saying, constructive criticism, then it's okay. So I can listen it. It's interesting. I need it even. Sometimes I want it. But if not, so then it's just destructive, of course. But in general, yes, that's important to have it. It's important to have it, because if everyone like it, so there's some lie. Then it means like no one like it. Well, but if someone like it, some not, I'm saying in a very simple, of course, way. Art is not about like or not. It's about influence, power of influence, etc. So we have to use another instrument to talk about art in this case. So, but simply say like or not. So if someone not like it, it's okay and it's good. So it's just you have to just look to the balance, to not make the someone who not like more than like, of course, but there should be some percentage of criticism, which is okay. Anything, like not only in art, so anything have this process. Yeah. So that's why I'm setting it as a in this case actually it's I really so it's like some books actually, not only books, of course. So there's different works of psychologists, social psychologists, who talking about the social behaviors. And if you know it before, then you can act to know it with this knowledge. If you're acting with this knowledge, how social structures, how society is structured. Of course, there are different view to this, different schools. Like there was schools actually. So like Jung, for example, Carl Jung's schools, for example, he's one of the famous psychologists who created a kind of new way to think about our psychology, or reinterpretate Western psychology, like Indian, not Indian, but it's called Veda. Actually, it's more if you will go research to this. So. Yeah. I'm thinking what was maybe I didn't tell all hope. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
For today, this is it from our part. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah.
My question was related to your art. Like, do you have any art that you say that's my favorite one and I love it so much?
It's not maybe. Yeah. Thank you for a question. Great question. Yeah. Maybe it's not. Like some like the art, like some special art, like some concrete art. But it's art process that I'm doing right now too. It's my favorite. It's not. It's a hidden part actually of my art somehow, because I'm also doing another, as I mentioned before, that performance work. So now it's become to a level when I'm doing very interesting research, how human brain, how art influenced the human brain, and also to our psychology and etc. So that's one of the interesting things that I'm doing right now, but which is related with art, kind of art process that I already took for like last 5 or 7 years that I'm working on. Yeah. Thank you. So if you can ask any question, guys. So don't worry. Yeah. Yes.
I wanted to ask that, what, in your opinion, is the most creative, or let's say the most crazy artwork you have, and why do you think so?
Oh, this is good. Also, it's a good question. Craziest artwork. Well, I will tell something. Like, art is always crazy, guys. So if you're doing art, it's making you. I mean, in the of course, in a good way, because your craziness can be applied on art. When it's not, that's can be a problem. Well, so that's why if you have some emotion inside, draw, create music, and don't actually expect that someone will tell something about your art, but just do it. So it will just make you also feel good. But craziest thing, I think, like it was when I had an idea to make a carpet. And to cut it in the form of recycle symbol. So you all know, right? Like it's like direct, like one direction, like triangle. So yeah, with arrows. And so that was the idea. Maybe it was just random idea that I had, and there was exhibition, and I had a lot of project at this moment, and it was just, I'm gonna do this. I think it's a nice idea, like it's symbolize recycle, like a recycled culture, etc. So, I mean, you can read it. So that's the thing actually about my work, that I'm trying to make it more, read it like immediately, to not talk about it, or to discuss it, for example, instead, like inside. So, and then after we got it, so I understood. I learned that we got this carpet from Lenkaran. So of course you know where is it, and I thought like it's just we buy it from very old grandmother, and she just sold to us, and I just started cut it, and someone called me and told like that this carpet is 200 years old, or 100 or 150 or 200 years old, and because this woman got it from her grandmother, and she also got from her family, so etc. So it was very old carpet, and actually it was a Karabakh carpet, so it comes from Karabakh to Lenkaran, and then. But the thing is, like I already cut it and half, and I didn't know what to do, like next, and then I write to exhibition project. It was in Holland, I remember. To the curator that I'm not gonna do that, because there was very little time to prepare work and send it to the exhibition. Well, but we decided to put this woman's, because she had it's a long story, so she had her own personal story, how she got this carpet. And actually it was also another thing that harder actually, that it was a very personal carpet, because in Azerbaijan, there was a tradition when you're getting married, like when a girl getting married, she have to get a carpet from her home, or she have to make it herself, or she can get something from her family, and took it as a symbol of new life, as a new base to the new house. So, and it was this kind of carpet, and that was crazy, because it was it was old carpet and very personally valuable. And I'm cutting it and I think that was a sorry for a long answer, but that yeah, I should tell this story. Yeah.
Another question. Can I ask just a quick question?
Yes, please.
So, actually, probably you touched this in your speech. Nowadays, museums they try to get out from the traditional way of showing the things to the audience, and they used probably they tried the people to use to see, to touch, to listen to smell, different human senses, right? And in this term, your understanding of carpet. So, how do you associate the carpet more with words or more with music? Because the carpet is about patterns, and we have patterns in music as well. We have patterns in the poems, right? In the poetry. So, how do you associate the carpet with? More with music or more with words? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Great question. Actually, it's a great question because it's very interesting to really know it that our like I'm talking about Azerbaijani carpet especially because our carpet is very related with mugham, which is music, like with the musical structure. And there was a research. It's not my point. So there was a research by so I'm very bad in remember names. Maybe later I can remember, so I can tell which. Khudum Mammadov. He was an Azerbaijani scientist and crystallographer. I think it's 70s, 60s, 70s. He did a research about crystallography and carpet, Azerbaijani carpet, how the crystals and carpet. And based on his work, some of his students made another research that related carpet and mugham, or bring mugham's music to the colors and then create a carpet with that, and it's become looks very like Azerbaijani carpet, for example. So I will add another things too, like food, for example. Like it's also very related. Like the food is also one of our sense. That's also really. So it comes to the idea. That's why I really like the question, because it comes to the idea that tradition, the culture is visual, is food. Like it's have to cover all senses, but also they have to be somehow in the same harmony with each other. Because if they're, for example, one is absent, so there's no food, but like the culture has a visual part, musical part, and they related, for example, then it's something also missed there. So in our case, I think they're all part of this the cultural elements, like food, like that cover all senses. Imagine, guys, like we can see our art, like we can see culture, we can hear culture at the same time, which is related with each other. But also food that also influence to our sense. That's also important. But also carpet itself, we're on what we're sitting, and also we're using our senses. Senses. So yeah, that's why I think it, and of course smell, food of smell, and etc. So we're using almost all our senses. If we can use it, I think then its culture is complete. Then its culture is kind of has all parts, and it's complete culture. And that's why I think it's good. It's good thought to. And there was a research about this, so I mentioned also that. So it's also important that it's not. It's something that already discussed. And I hope that someone also working on this deeper. Yeah.
Now I'd like to ask one more question.
Yes.
So you're very interested in human behaviors and psychology in general, and I want to ask if your art was the thing that sparked your interest in psychology, or your interest in psychology led to your interest in art?
Oh, this is also a good question. Very good question. So now I have to go to my childhood memories. Not like very deep, of course, but sometimes I was really interested in psychology in general, how to try to understand. And my mom is doctor, so she's a medical worker. So medical work. So that's why I was around the medical books. So that's why I was interested in general in psychology. But parallelly, I can tell like what was the first. It was like a question of about eggs and chicken and egg, because as I remember myself, I was draw. Like I was draw and never stopped to draw. That's the thing actually. So because actually in the childhood everyone is drawing, but I draw in the school on the. So now I'm sure that you can do that. We did it. There was even, in the on the tables that like school tables. So we there was drawings, a lot of drawings, and even there was some messages like with the other classes that we messaged each other. There was even two artists, I and another artist, and we kind of messaged each other with the art with the drawings. So that was a good the first Facebook. There wasn't even internet actually when I was in school, so that's why it was a fun to do something like that. So now it's not. So I'm not advising right now. So, but it was just a moment of history when things like that happens. So yes. So that's why I don't remember which was on the first, because yes, I was an art. I was like I liked the art all the time, but at the same time, like as I get more educated, and as more I was interested in society, in psychology in general. Not only that, actually, in general I'm interested in science. Our biology is super interesting, like how we made from cells. It's crazy, like small cells and the small mechanism. Like now it's hard to construct like bigger things. Like imagine it's very like molecular level, like small mechanism that creating like who we are, and our DNA is even like that's also another interesting thing, that we all almost have another very like almost same DNA code, which is like a book actually. So imagine like we all like made from one book, but a couple of the sentences different, which make us all like different, like who we are, and they're like maybe one page different with the apes, for example, and maybe like half of the book different with a banana, for example, which is also interesting. The same kind of code creating some part of banana and some part of our body. So that's why science in general. And another thing is physics, for example, to understand like matter deeper, like from what everything is made is atoms, and you have physics, right, in your schools, right? Yeah, of course. In which I don't know which level. So if you will go further now, I think you will learn also quantum physics. Or if you already went through this this topic now, quantum physics now.
Next year.
Well, it's very interesting. So if you, but just I mean, like it kind of looks. For me, it was boring. I would say true in the school. But when I came to home, I read this book. I read another scientific like about physics. So I wasn't a good student during school. Actually, I had a bad. It's not good actually, but it was just a moment again of historical moment. But in general, I was interested in science generally, like not only psychology, but how our body, for example, related with our psychology, our brain function, for example. So this is what I'm researching actually physically right now. Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned your younger self, and I wonder what advices will you give to your younger self if you could meet him, for example?
Yeah, I thought about this. Actually, I will tell, just do whatever you're doing. You are right. Just follow, because I'm here in my moment of life, and I'm happy with that. I'm happy with everything that I have, and I really wish to everyone here, at least, and everyone who is in this path of knowledge, to get this happiness, because it's very also important to be harmony with your work, with your friends, with your family, with yourself, especially with how you're thinking, and of course you have great potential, and I'm very sure that I can look to you and I see different stars that will appear in a different time. So that's why I wish you to get what you want and what society wants. So it's if there will two questions will solve what you like, what you want, what you can do, and what from the society needs from us, from you, and then we can be in harmony. We'll be in our place where we have to be in life.
Wow, I'm kind of speechless. You can ask a question.
I wanted to say that this year, 2 months ago in September,
Mm-hmm.
in Geneva, there was like exhibition of your works was opened. What do you think about it?
Oh, well, yes, thank you for mentioning this, because, yes, that was important exhibition because it took place in UN building in Geneva, which is like center of UN organization, and another offices is in New York. That was more, for me it was more, I think, official, because I first time was in this kind of political place, like center of politics in the world, and especially like people who working with the politicians, that to talk with them, and so I met another I also was honored to meet our minister, affair minister, Ceyhun Bayramov, and right, affair minister, right? So, yeah, and talk a little bit about art with diplomats. That's interesting, actually, to have this connection. But I was nervous a little bit, because in art world, like, you are more relaxed, you can do whatever you want, so they can expect from artists whatever artists can do. So that's actually another my advice, like just random advice, that if you just want to be free, you don't feel yourself anywhere, then become an artist, because this is a place where you can find yourself. At least for sometimes, if you feel sometimes in your life that you still don't know where to go, what to do, then this is kind of place where you can find yourself. But maybe then you can change your direction of life, and this is okay, actually. I like to change direction, like totally. For example, now several times I took education in science, because because my project right now is related with the scientific, so to learn to researching brain activity and art, etc. So it wasn't like long-term education, so I just took some courses because something I understand, something I have to learn deeper. So yeah, so it's nice to change direction too, if you want to.
Does anyone have any more questions? Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting. Thank you for sharing, because it's also important for me to share with some experiences, and also I would love to listen to your experience, your interesting views, because we all, like I said, like we all have a different views, so that's also important to share. Yeah, thank you.
We hope to see you more in ADA school from now on.
Yeah, I would love to, actually. Next time, if you will invite me, I will tell more about maybe my travels. This is crazy things that I will ask. Actually, that was during travel, actually, not during art, but during travel, there was some interesting things that I can, maybe share in the future.
Definitely.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And
thank you.
Yeah, that's nice to share. Thank you.